Roots of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. This is episode 62, and if you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast that amplifies the voices of Africans in STEM all over the world. We hope that even though you are new, you do stay. So what you need to do is go to your favorite streaming platform, be it Apple, Spotify, and click follow so that you are subscribed and you get notified on the latest episode. And also, please do leave a review. Now, let's get into today's episode. My guest is Abubakr Ibrahim. He is a PhD student in astrophysics, originally from Sudan and now based in Barcelona, Spain. In this episode, he tells us about how he spent nights gazing at the clear night sky in his hometown of Kinana. That passion of seeing the stars mixed with his love of physics birthed his dream of being an astrophysicist. He tells us about studying in this field and how it gave him the opportunity to further his studies at the University of Capetown in South Africa for both honors and master's level. After completing his studies in Cape Town, he has been offered the opportunity to continue to further his studies and to pursue a PhD at an Institute of Space Science in Spain. His research is focused on a project called Magnesia, searching for pulsar and magnetars in a multi-band frequency. Now, to get a better understanding of this, we get a crash course on astrophysics where he explains the basics so that we can understand the context of his study. In this crash course, he also lets us know a typical day in the life of an astrophysicist. Surprisingly, it actually involves more coding than looking at stars. Interesting, right? Well, you gotta tune in to hear about all of this and so much more. Let's go. Hi, Abubakr. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Anne. I'm very happy to be with you.
I am so happy to be with you. I have an astrophysicist in the building.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so, let's get this ball rolling. Can you just give us a quick little introduction for everybody else who's listening? Your name, where you're from originally, where you're currently based, and just in short, what are you currently doing?
Yes, sure. Thanks. My name is Abubakr Ibrahim. I'm originally from Sudan. I'm doing PhD in astrophysics in the Space Science Institute in Barcelona in Spain. So that's very quick.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. First of all, just a disclaimer. You're my first Sudanese person. So yay. Thank you so much. I'm trying to touch all of the 54 countries of Africa. So thank you for ticking that box. Thank you for ticking that box. Thank you so much for that quick and short introduction. Before we get into the science, as everybody knows, I want to get to know you away from the sciences. And I know that you are currently doing your studies in Spain currently. So for somebody like myself, Spain is actually one of the countries that are on my lists of countries to visit, after the COVID, we always say that now. But what are some of your favorite places as also sort of like a tourist or an international student in Spain that you'd like to share for us, please?
Oh, wow. I think one of the things that I'm very happy about is that to come to Barcelona. Barcelona actually is known by the art and the architecture. So the city is very, very nice. It has lots of architecture's destinations. Of course, you heard of the Sagrada Familia Church, which is like just a magical building in the middle of in the center of Barcelona. So since I haven't been in other places in Spain, I would say from my experience so far, Barcelona will be number one for you to recommend.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. And yeah, like you said about the architecture, everybody speaks so highly about that when you come in and you see all of these beautiful photos of the buildings. So I'm sure it must be
Yeah.
like walking in awe of the people who built this so many years ago, right?
Another point also I wanted to mention about Barcelona is that um, it helped you to just like cope with the walk, like the streets are walkable, and pedestrians have like large space in the street, so without disturbing of the cars and any other things. So that's really nice thing as well.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. I can't wait. Hopefully sooner rather than later. A little side note. I know people who are big fans of soccer. You know, Spain is one of the biggest countries of soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, depending on where you're from. Are you a soccer fan? Do you support, these one of the two biggest teams, Barcelona or Real Madrid?
No, actually I'm supporting Real Madrid since I was 7 years old. So I'm super passionate about football and super passionate about Real Madrid. And I was telling my friends that, hey, I'm going to Barcelona, but all of you know that I'm fan of Madrid. So, but now I fall in love with Barcelona as a city, but the same. My love is still for Madrid as a football team.
No, that's good to know. That's good to know. Hopefully, in your time there, you'll get to watch your team play. In the stadium once upon a time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Really.
Great, lovely to know. So you quickly mentioned that you supported since you were 7. So this gives me a really good segue then to ask you, when you were younger, was science, apart from the football, was science something that you were always passionate about? Was it something that you knew you wanted to do? Or is this one of those things that kind of just, happened to you?
Yeah, this is really a good question and will lead me back to my childhood, actually. So as I was mentioning in the beginning, from Sudan. So I grew up in a small town, like 400 kilometers south of the capital, Khartoum. So the place called Kinana. It's like a factory. We are known with producing sugar factory. So I was child, I have this. I know really seems like fancy, but this is reality. This is what happened. So we have really a clear sky, during the night, and then that passion of seeing the stars and see the moon has just like captivated my heart. And this also mixed with my love to science since I was in basic school. And this has grown up until the elementary, or I could say the secondary school. I always loved physics and also everything related with the space, like satellites, those things always captivated me. Beside that, I also like to imagine the locations of the stuff in the big scale structure, and this was also one of the main thing that led me to do astronomy. I remember when I was applying to the university, I applied because I went to science part, so I haven't been accepted for the university at the first. So I wanted to repeat and do literature and take geography, actually. Just, having this idea of discovering the different places in large scale. By large scale, I mean the earth, the continents, even the sky, of course. And then I was lucky to find out that there is a new astronomical department in Sudan, just has been launched. So I immediately applied for it and been accepted. And that's really nice. So I graduated from astronomy department, and then everything started from there officially.
That's such an amazing story. And I love how you say that when you were younger, you had this interest in looking at the stars. And I think lots of young children look out, and it's like amazing to look out and to see these beautiful things up in the air. And it's so amazing that, in Sudan, this program or actually opened up and started, and it allowed you to actually fulfill this dream of yours. And it looked like you wanted to do it by trying to take geography somehow, some way, trying to repeat. And it's also quite interesting that when you first applied, like you said, that you didn't get in straight away. So sometimes, some of these no's, you might think it's a bad thing. It was more of a delay, not a straight no, right?
Exactly. And also, I wanted to mention that I think most people, especially during their childhood, share the same, enthusiasm and curiosity of discovering things and looking at the sky. But the difference is when you take this seriously, and follow up your dream and to make it like true. So of course you need some luck, but it's still the first should be the decision that you are going to do this, you are going to do this, and you are open for all the challenge. You can imagine that being the first people to study astronomy, like there was no anything or indicators or institutional stuff in Sudan that promote this. Yes, there are people who study physics and later on, of course, they did astronomy somehow. But so that's relating this with the future. Of course, you will ask, okay, what is my future? If I like you taking route for unknown, but your belief on what you do and your passion and your ambition as well will lead you to achieve whatever is available there.
So many great points. And you're absolutely right. I think it's that belief, that internal belief that this is something that you want to do. So many of us have got dreams, but few of us actually follow up to it. And it's tough being the first. It's really tough, but
always tough. But this challenging also related with all the success or related with all the the opportunities that you will get. It's like it has an advantage or disadvantage, but it has a lot of advantage. So for example, to be first to graduate from the department, we were privileged to be accepted also as teaching assistant. Two of us, myself and friend of mine. So we didn't have any suffering after the graduation. I immediately just did my national service, and then they hired me at the department. And after that, I was also lucky to find this very nice opportunity to do my honors in South Africa, and this will lead me to the second part of my journey.
After you finished in Sudan, take us to the next steps, because obviously the story does not end there.
Exactly. Thanks. Yeah. So I did find this very nice opportunity to come to South Africa, and that was my first time to go outside Sudan, which is very nice. So the program called NASP, it stands for National Astrophysics and Space Science Program. The main idea of this program is to bring African students together and prepare them for next generation, especially, South Africa, especially in astronomy, they have a great instruments. And one of these instruments is called SKA, Square Kilometer Array, which is going to be the largest radio telescope in the world. And actually, just they launched the organization just this month. Yeah, so I have been able to finish my honors at the University of Capetown, And immediately after that, also I was privileged to get to continue my journey to do my master as well at the same university, sharing with two different institutes, South African Astronomical Institute and the SKA, which stands for Square Kilometer Array Office. So I was kind of like going through all the biggest astronomical institutes in the country, making relationships, learning a lot, creating knowledge, and finishing. So I did my master in something called dispersion measurements. So the topic of my interest has always been the same. I don't think it has changed somehow. And then straight from there, I just got accepted. So I applied for my PhD to Spain, and I have been accepted. 2019, my supervisor was really kind enough to wait for me until almost 1 year to join her. So that's really nice, because I went to Sudan by like November 2019, and then to graduate and waiting for my certificates, the pandemic just happened and everything closed. So basically, I have been locked in Sudan for almost 7 months before I come and join my team actually in Spain here.
Wow, what a story, Potts. When did you actually arrive in Spain?
Mid of September.
Last year?
Yes.
Yeah, the pandemic really stopped a lot of things. At least the supervisor was very understanding and very patient and allowed you to continue. But before we get into your PhD and what you're currently doing in Spain, I just think your whole story, your whole journey, you just explaining it is just mind-blowing. Look at that. This young boy from Sudan has had the privilege of traveling these two other countries, working with these big institutions, doing things that you could have only dreamed of. So you're absolutely right that, you have to go for your dreams, and you are literally living it, right?
Exactly. That's so true. That's really so true. And I always tell, because I have also this privilege of working at the institute, I always try to aspire the young students that don't just stop your dream, whatever happened. Try to seek your dream. There is nothing called impossible. You can do it. You believe on it.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so for your research, you mentioned that you've kind of been working with the same sort of topic throughout your research career, but I'm going to read what you're currently doing, and then I would like you to just, explain for us. So your PhD research is focused on a project called Magnesia. This project is searching for pulsar and magnetars in multi-band frequency. All right. So for us people who have no idea what any of those words mean, can you give us some background to this work and exactly what you're going to be doing?
So basically, this is, I will call it astrophysics, first of all. So before just heading to this topic, it's good to mention something about my master, because they're related, and give more background. So my master was working in dispersion measurement variation, and this is actually, so the whole topic is about neutron star, or type of stars called pulsars. So the idea of this pulsar is just, what the star mean. So like the sun considered as stars, right? Yeah, but there are like different subcategories of stars. And also, one thing that always nice to mention is that stars have a journey through, meaning that they're born and they evolve and they die, and it's like a cycle. So depending on the mass of the star, it will have different life circle. The young stars, like younger than our sun, evolve normally and then just die quietly. Stars like the sun, we consider it like medium star. It's not like very large. It's not very small. So this category called main sequence stars, like our sun, as I mentioned, and it's like a medium star. The way it dies also differently. Basically, it just expands. So the outer layer of the star expand and evolve until the main star couldn't support the outer layer, and they just like quietly leave the star and end up with another type of star called white dwarf. End of the story, this middle class. Now, come to the large class. Like when I say large, I mean in terms of the mass of the star.
Okay. So how big are we talking about here?
We are talking about, we will take the scale of our sun, as actually the mass of our sun now. So I will say one solar mass mean it equivalent to our sun. Two solar mass equivalent to two of the the mass of our sun, right?
Okay. Just before you continue, if somebody doesn't know, how big on average is our sun, so that we can have a nice comparison?
It's okay. You can consider always that as the sun can contain million of Earth inside.
Wow.
So
okay. That's okay.
Roughly, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You may proceed. Okay. We got the vision.
Question. Yeah. Now, for the large stars, meaning that their initial mass is around 8 and above solar mass, like 8 of the mass of our sun and above.
Wow.
So
okay.
Those kind of stars, they die differently and loudly, meaning that when they hit to the late stage of their life, they explode. But
wow. Okay.
What you call it, an event called supernova explosion. What happened here is that the star can't, because the mass is too high, to the extent that the core of the star can't support the weight, and to avoid that, the star just explode the material to the outer space. So we call this event supernova. It's very energetic and it's a violent end of life actually for the star. Now we will have two possibilities. After this event, after the explosion of the star, we will have two scenarios. The first scenario, when the remnant of this explosion is equal 1.4 to 2 solar mass. So the final remnant called neutron star or pulsar, and this is the star that of my interest. The second scenario, when the remnant after the explosion has mass larger than 2 solar mass, and in this case, or 3, in this case actually the star will just collapse to create a black hole, which is the scary scenario of the universe. I know most of people may heard of this black hole.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll come back, of course, to the neutron star. So this is the star of my interest. So basically, this star has 1.5 to 2 of solar mass. Very small. It's like the size of this star is equal to Manhattan, or you could say like 20 kilometer only. So it's very small, but very dense. Wow. It contains very dense matter. So the way to support this balance is that the star will start is spinning around itself. That's why I was mentioning that it's different type of star. So usually the normal stars like our sun, I think if you know, all of you, it emits coherent radiation, right? As just like the light, the sunlight. But this star actually, the mechanism is totally different. It doesn't emit a coherent radiation like the sun. Instead, it emits pulse of radiation. And that's why the name pulsar. It comes from the mechanism of the pulsation of the radiation. The best example of this to just understand it is the lighthouses. Every period you receive pulse of radiation, meaning that the star is spin around itself and emit only beam of radiation. So basically we will have two beams from the pole of the star only. I know this is long answer, but it's good to understand the star. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, we needed to hear the background. So please go ahead.
Yeah, now come to my project, actually, after this long introduction of the object. So I'm interested on working in magnesia, which is stand for, actually is magnetar census. The impact of highly magnetar neutron star in explosive and transient universe. This project is hosted in Institute of Space Science led by Dr. Nandareya, which is my supervisor. We are a large group, like 12 person. So basically we are focusing in subcategory also of pulsar called magnetars. It has very high magnetic field, almost 10 to 12 or 10 to 15 Gauss, very large. My own topic will be searching actually for these pulsars. So searching for pulsars and transient in the universe. So as I mentioned, because it has different mechanism, so it's not an easy task to find this type of star called pulsar. Like, of course, if it's like the sun, it's simple. You just direct your telescope basically and study everything because you receive normal radiation. But in case of the pulsar, no, this is not the case. First of all, the pulsar has to be at the same direction of the Earth. So to be able to receive this pulse, this is the first thing. So imagine if the lighthouse has different direction, that you won't be able to receive this pulse even, because it has to come across Earth first. Secondly, you have to have a technique that enables you to identify that this is a pulsar. And here, that's why pulsar searching is a new field. Pulsar themselves, so far we have only 260 pulsar within our galaxy and neighbor galaxy. So we don't have a lot of them actually. And they are very interesting. They have lots of applications. And now it's very, like, the first discovery was 1967. So it's also new for as a field, I mean. So very excited, very nice. People, like, very hot area. It has lots of applications, so we need to find more and study more to understand them, and that will also help us to understand the universe, to understand how stars evolve, how stars end up their life, and how the universe in general behavior.
No, this was lovely. I loved this is why you are a teaching assistant. I can see it coming through in your explanation. And No, and I can see because you explain it really well, because there's a lot of terms I think that as us as lay people hear, such as supernova, black holes, and it's really good that we actually understand a brief background. I'm sure it's very vast, so your work sounds really interesting, and it's quite okay. So you said that with these pulses, there are these key things that need to happen in order for you to locate it, as opposed to, for example, just the star. So how has that? Is it hard? Do you not have days where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't find this? How does that? What do you do in those cases?
Okay. Well, yeah, I think this question is very nice, but it's a bit advanced in my case, because I just started actually. So as a PhD, you need to first have some background to study.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Especially I'm moving.
Say no more. Say no more. I understand. I'm there. Say no more. I will not inquire. But
I think you are the best person here to understand that. So but the question is very nice. I would say because we are because I will be working with friend of mine also. He's doing postdoc, so basically we have this project. So, but the idea is it's simple in terms of the description, but it's of course when you start implementation, it's going to see the flames, all the flames.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the idea is just we doing what we call it high energy astrophysics, meaning that. This is the shift I was telling you that I'm coming from radio astronomy background when I was in South Africa. But here we usually use instruments located in the space because they are observing the universe and those stars in high energy like X-ray. And X-ray, you can't observe X-ray from the surface of Earth because the atmosphere actually block X-ray. So you need to launch your telescopes, your instruments outside the atmosphere, the Earth's atmosphere. So this is one thing. So I deal with X-ray telescopes and data. We do a lot of data analysis and reduction. So you will basically have X-ray data, and then we have tools that will enable you to search for periodicity or acceleration, as I mentioned, because it's related with time series, because it has to do with timing, periodicity, discovering this pulse. You could consider this pulse is so one of the main feature of this star is what we call it period and the spin frequency, because you have to wait for a specific, so there is a period between each pulse and the second one. As I said, each pulse you will receive peep again, peep. So the period separate each two pulse is very, very, very precise in pulsar. So the moment you discover this period, you will have a constant kind of sinusoid shape. It's like this this device. The chart you see a specific shape when every time you receive pulse. So yeah, you will be able to detect them once you just guess the best period actually. And this is doable through computational analysis or techniques. That's why we large part of our life we evolve with just like algorithm, writing scripts, coding, basically. Of course, beside the scientific part, because you need to understand the science of the object. You need to understand the physics of the object to know who you dealing with. Yeah.
Okay. No, but listen, let me just say that for somebody who is still at the beginning stages, I think you answered me very well. So, so coming from another person who's also just starting, I think you were able to answer me very well. And also just listening to the type of work that you do, I think the key things that come out from somebody who is not an astrophysicist is that you guys deal with a lot of coding. It's not just staring into the night sky. Is this?
Yes, which is I guess most of people when you say I'm doing astrophysics or astronomy, they first think, well, you just stare at the sky. Or your dream is to go maybe to NASA or SpaceX. I know this is very nice and fancy, but this is what we usually do actually in our daily basis life, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So
I can hear you are busting the myth that there's more than just staring into the sky. And I think for somebody who's interested in possibly getting into that field, it's good to know these things. And for us people who are unaware about your field, it's good to know that there's more. And I mean, also it's a little bit like, okay, I thought you are going into space. We have these weird conceptions, but you guys are just mainly on the computer doing coding and analyzing data. So it's quite it's quite interesting that that's the bulk of your work in your field. And I think it's very fascinating that it encompasses all of these types of disciplines like your physics into it to make this beautiful study. And I wish you all of the best in what you're doing. It sounds super complicated, but also super exciting. But I think it sounds super exciting. And I appreciate how you explained it and you broke it down for all of us to understand your work.
Yeah, this is actually very a good thanks for the compliment, basically. Thanks. Yeah, but I wanted to mention just one point that I'm actually quoting essay from Carl Sagan. He said that he's a very famous actually theoretical astrophysicist. He said that in his book that the cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff. We are a way of the universe to know itself. So this relating with the knowledge of the universe is kind of like I would say I'm happy and very privileged of studying the universe, but the universe actually is within us. And this is related with the fact that when I mentioned the stars end up their life by this huge explosion called supernova. So the material that invented the space, actually, it's the same material of our body. So you can now imagine that.
Wow. That is so beautiful to think about when you put it like that. I think that's pretty magical. And I wish I knew about astrophysics when I was young. I didn't even know that it was a career. But yeah, this is super interesting. And also, as we are wrapping up, I just wanted to ask you, do you have any advice for any young person who is interested in your field, or just to anybody in general, about just some last golden wise words that you'd like to impart on us?
Well, I think I may just say what has worked with me as because from my experience, I have 3 magical key words that could help everyone if implemented in any way, I guess. I usually say curiosity, followed by ambition, and followed by passion. And the order is very important of these 3 words. So first, curiosity, because curiosity doesn't have to, you don't have to know everything about what just captivated you. And this is, usually we go through it when we are maybe child or when we don't know the field. But there are some stuff that we have some curiosity that just to discover, like me, like as I mentioned, that the sky was beautiful. So this is curiosity because I have no idea what's happening there in the sky by then. Now, following that by ambition, which is very important to have ambition about what you do. And this is not just in astrophysics, this is general thing on the life if you follow them. It's always good to have ambition. It's always good to see yourself in different version after 5 years, 10 years, or less than that. This is a crucial, actually. I can't remember that I have been in a state where I don't see myself in 5 years or 1 year at least, how I would look like. So this is a good drivation that to drive your life, to drive your goal, to achieve your goals. Very important to have this imagination in your life, in your head, regardless of this is going to happen exactly or no. It's just good to have it, you know. The third one is passion. Once you got your ambition, once you got the stage of the goal, now you need passion. You have to have something that drive you through your journey, because it's not going to be a short journey. And the idea is not just to get there. No, the idea is to how to continue from the moment that you get there. As examples, like, for example, doing master. So the goal is not just to get accepted for master, right? It's to how to achieve this master. So for this, you need to have passion of what you do. So this will be a kind of like fuel that give you the energy, to drive you and achieve your goal. So I will say at the end, curiosity, ambition, and passion, period.
Oh no, those are very important. And like you said, it's not just for education purposes, but I think in life general. And I think it's always good to have an idea of where you want to be in your life. It's a very good practice. You know, some people call it visualizing, other people call it manifesting. Manifesting?
Yeah,
you know, whatever word you want to call it. It's very important, because also it also helps, like you said, in those hard moments when it gets hard, because you remind yourself, like, I want to be XYZ in those times. And I mean, sometimes it doesn't go according to plan, but most times it goes way better than you even imagined. And I think that's the beauty of combining all of those three things that you pointed out, which I 100% agree on. Yeah, no, but anyway, thank you so much for our chat. I learned so much about space and about what you do and about this field. So thank you so much for telling us about yourself and your story. It was really, really lovely having you on the show.
I'm really glad that you have hosted me, and I'm very happy actually to have this experience. And by the way, this is my first ever podcast. So as I am your first guest, you are first person to have an interview or podcast with. So yeah, one by one.
You know, it starts like this, and
I get so happy.
No, there's too many more. And I think, you know, another first I forgot to tell you earlier on is that you're my first person who is in Spain who I'm actually talking to. So it's a night of first today. So I'm really, you know what we said about being the first earlier on. I think it's really great. Yes. That's how we start, hey?
Everything is very good. That's really nice.
Yeah, so definitely there'll be many more, and I wish you all of the best, all of the success in everything that you do. It was amazing having you on. And to everybody else who's listening, thank you so much once again for tuning in to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. Until next time, goodbye.